no. Mi ropa. Bueno, voy a tener que capturar toda la pantalla. Qué paja. Bueno, no pasa nada. Voy a mutear esto. Hace tanto que no juego un juego en stream que olvidé absolutamente todo. ¿Cómo mierda hago para ver el chat acá? Acá. Dios mío. Ok, español. Pero tengo que cambiar el audio porque lo puse en español. Nope, no puedo. Estoy haciendo re mal el ruidito este. ¡Holis! ¿Cómo andas? Pam pan. ¿Por qué te pusiste pam pan? Que el computador sea apenas visible. Aquí. ¿Qué hora es? 15:40. Ah, no, espera. 3:40. Es muy molesto el ruidito. Como muy alto. ¿Puedes hacer la confesión de ciudades? Ok. Pampa. Ah, claro, pampa. Pan sin gluten. Ay, se me alto. El audio en inglés, pero los subtítulos. Ay, no me escucho a mí misma. Pará. Claro, porque el micrófono está allá. Está en los ojos. Ok. Voy a bajar un poquito el juego este porque está re alto. Ok. Hola, Luciana. Che, Luciana, ¿no puedo ponerlo en inglés, pero los subtítulos en español? Porque me aparecía antes de entrar, me decía, ¿en qué idioma hablas? Y después me puso, ¿en qué idioma querés el juego? Tipo, subtítulos y eso. No es de terror, creo. No. Vamos a jugar en español. A mí me puso distinto, ¿eh? Me preguntó 2 veces. Bueno, vamos a jugar en ruso. Bueno. Show translation. Color labels. No sé si tengo que cambiar algo del video. Vamos a ponerlo un poquito bajito. Bueno, no sé qué tanto agarra este juego. Ok, ¿en high? ¿En serio? Nunca jugué un juego en high. Ok, high. Bueno, los controles se aprenden jugando. La resolución. 120 Hz. ¿Me está variando o me estaba haciendo volver? Esos son todos. Ahí está. No. El 75 creo que es lo más alto. Hola, Danielita, ¿qué andás? No. Como ya no me acuerdo en cuál estaba. ¿En cuál la dejo? Ah. 75. Lo más alto. 1020, 1080. El más alto, me imagino. Uy. Ahí, ok. ¡Ua! Bueno. Váyanme diciendo los audios, tipo cómo se escucha. Pues tipo, el juego yo ahora lo escucho re alto, apenas me escucho. Ah, no puse play, lol. Okay. Bueno. Fua, Luciana, me parece que vos tenés mal tu compu, porque yo después lo escucho bien. Sí puse play. ¿Ves? Y aparte está. Vamos a jugar. Begin the game. Tengo miedo. Tipo, el único clip que vi de este juego es que le decía anda por esta puerta, pero si vos ibas por la otra, no sé qué, se te ponía a discutir, no me acuerdo.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Literalmente pensé en
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley.
Oh no.
Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ok. Ya me puedo mover, me parece. Voy a mover el... Bueno, el micrófono está a lo máximo que está. No se puede más. Así que... Let's start. Let's get it. Nunca me acuerdo. Ok. ¿Puedo tomar esto? Bueno, puedo agarrar una mierda. I hate Mondays. G814. Ok. Que estoy yo en la 427.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley
no.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
¿Puedo saltar? No. Porque parece que estoy tecleando. En realidad no me moví y todavía estoy en la compu. Okay.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference. Nor did it advance the story in any way.
Ya me acuerdo como a lo que va este juego.
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement?
¡Hay un
Check the
logro!
door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
Ok. Bueno, me voy. Ok. No hay nadie, no hay nadie. Otro 25. ¡Ay! ¡Uy, no! Quería leer. Uy, la apagué, la concha de madre. Be my Valentine. ¿Qué dice? Bueno, voy a apagar todas las compus. Porque no hay que gastar luz. Ok. Or no. Es como se traba cada vez que estoy por pasar una puerta. Aquí. Es enorme este lugar. No me habla más.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
¿Y si voy a la derecha? ¿Y si yo hago lo que quiero?
¿Nani?
Ok, por suerte ese no me da tanto miedo.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire.
Yo hacer lo que quiera. Yo no soy... ¿Cómo era el disciplinado? A mí... ¿Cómo era el coso que acabo de leer? Voy a salir de la depresión. Okay.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room.
Depresivo frustrado.
Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. Yes, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth.
Fío. Fue tanto
At
las
this
tazas
point, Stanley's
tiradas.
obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
¿Estás diciendo algo contra mí? Un medio de los developers encontraron que enfado en su juego. Literal.
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Ay, quiero quedarme para ver si dice algo más, pero bueno, vamos a avanzar.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Tengo muchas ganas de no seguir lo que me dice, pero... Eso lo podría hacer para si lo juego otra vez. ¿Qué pasa si voy ahí? ¿Qué hay acá? Ay, me caí toda, pensé que había alguien ahí. Bueno, mira, primero voy a hacer como la sociedad disciplinada y voy a seguir todo, ok.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
¿Qué es esto? Oh. Bueno. Bueno.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track.
Sí, menos mal que
So
le iba a
now, in
hacer
order to get back, he needed to go,
la concha. Bueno.
From here, it's, left.
Ok, ahora sí lo voy a hacer caso. Le voy a hacer caso, lo voy a hacer.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Ok. Ahora ya.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Ahora ya me está boludeando,
Now, let's
Es como en
see.
Severance
Down, right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Ok. ¿Y ahora? Ok. ¿Y esto?
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay.
Fire.
We just have to get back to,
¿Cuál era yo?
Who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Bueno, vamos a hacerle caso. Concha, Dios. Le voy a hacer caso, ok. Perdón, amigo. Bueno.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Vamos. Y tengo que ir a la izquierda.
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Or did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Ok. Bueno, a la mierda, seguir. Ay, quiero ir por ahí. Mueve la silla. Me hace decir que no puedes soltar eso, dale. Bueno, vamos a ir donde quería ir antes. Nah, amigo, dale. Los backrooms, la reconcha de tu madre. Estoy en el mismo lugar.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot.
Tranqui, amigo, me voy al juego si querés, no pasa nada. Dios. Ok, ahora sí.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Ok. Ay, ahora no puedo tocar ninguna puerta. Rompí el juego. Oh no. Ahí está. Ahí, ¿y cómo voy ahí? No. Pues amigo, ayúdame.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No,
Buah.
wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our step.
¿Qué está pasando acá?
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win.
¿Cómo que no?
Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Este juego muy raro. No está entre nosotros, no. Ahora me pone la línea. Okay.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Okay. Ok, vamos a seguir la línea. Vamos, vamos. Ah, pensé que era de afuera.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story?
Si un árbol
Simply by the
cae.
act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct?
¿De qué me estás hablando? No entiendo nada.
That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
¡Está muy alto!
Cut the music, go back and look at that fern.
Okay.
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Mi gato me está rompiendo algo. Ok.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No, No, no. Line,
no.
you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Otra vez acá, la concha.
Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted
yo.
you, after
37.
everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Ay, Dios. Qué juego raro, loco.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Okay.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination.
No,
Whatever
amigo,
it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Ok. La línea no está ahí. Ok, ya se fue.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control.
Okay.
How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic.
You should...
Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Bueno. The confusion ending. ¿Qué?
Oh, hold up, what's this?
¿Ya tuvo el final?
The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined?
¿En qué parte está?
So
¿Qué
now,
parte de
according to
confusion
the
ending?
schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall.
Story
Well,
tends to play
who
story by
consulted
story.
me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really... No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So...
Reinicia, amigo, dale, reinicia.
I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey. Though they're always saying that life
Stanley
is about
dies!
the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime...
Oh, le reiniciaron el juego al loco este. Y se olvidó. ¿Cómo se llama este amigo?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Ay, no me
Stanley
acuerdo qué
decided to
pasaba
go to the
después.
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
¿Qué tengo que hacer después? Ay, no, ¿por qué no me...? Tenía que sacar una foto. Okay.
When Stanley came to a set
Vamos a
of
hacerle
two
caso.
open doors,
Vamos a hacerle
he
caso.
entered the door on his left.
Y si no le hago... mentira, mentira, no voy a hacer caso porque si no seguro me vas a hacer todo de nuevo.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Do not answer
Feeling a
that.
wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Let it ball up inside you. Take it out passive aggressively on another coworker. Ay, estoy leyendo. ¿Quién me cambió? ¿Quién cambió eso? ¿Quién está cambiando esto? You most of all. There are slides on these slides. Charts, slides. Okay. Right away, charts on the same slide depict the same information. Please no more charts. Please obey. The boss position minutes. Okay, boss position. Okay. A conflict. If you ever find yourself in a conflict with another division employee, like yourself or more client. Success. Clear skin. Oh yeah. Tips for not getting fired. No. Okay. Bueno, muy interesante tu cosa. Ah, ya empezó de nuevo. Ok. ¿Para dónde voy?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Mierda. Ok. Hello. Este es mi boss's office.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845. De Víctor Guidia.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing.
No es sheer
He
luck, es
stepped into the
conocimiento.
newly opened passageway.
¿Qué es este lugar? Okay.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
¡Uy! Me queda. Ok. Ok.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape. ¿Y si esto es una mentira? Voy a seguirle. Voy a hacerle caso a mi amigo.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Buah, estoy en el mismo lugar, la
What horrible
concha de tu
secret
madre.
did this place hold?
Okay.
Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Yes.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Hay que llevar fotogramas del juego.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time?
Yes!
Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Es una sociedad controlada.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Mind controls, idle, awaiting input. ¿Qué dice allá? Mind. Ok. Ay no. ¡Ah! Se me volvió la pierna. Escuché, madre. Ahí está. System power. ¿Tengo el poder ahora para apagarlo? Nunca más. El pis, literalmente.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Ok. ¿Eso es todo? ¿Soy libre en serio? ¿Soy feliz en serio? ¿Otra vez? ¿Están mis compañeros?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Entonces capaz ahora no le hago caso para nada. The end is never the end, it's never the end, it's never the end, it's never the end.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Para, en vez de eso, voy a ir al escape, que me decía de escapar. Espero que siga estando.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Primero voy a ir al escape. De arriba.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk.
Perdón,
That
perdón.
kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
No te lo puedo creer. Abrime la puerta.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Ok. Y ahora tengo que ir. Gato, quédate allá. Me vas a romper todo. Otra vez.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large
Okay,
door
ahora
that
sí.
read Mind Control Facility.
Escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Ya fue.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
No, no, no. Yo sigo.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Siempre llega el momento. En cualquier. Ok, era real. No me estaba mintiendo. Ok, ahora. ¡Ah! ¿What? ¿Cómo no me morí?
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision
Oh,
of what
no!
this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss,
Mana-
like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man.
Me van a aplastar.
And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end
No!
to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated, as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Ay. Stanley paraba.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
¿Por qué no se escucha nada? Qué miedo. Qué silencio.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Uy, gato. Estoy rico jugando porque el gato está... Ok. ¿Qué es esto? Corredor. Ok. Pacing of this differentiation was important to get right. ¿De dónde empiezo yo? Acá. Cuéntate, boludo. Nature paintings. Qué raro todo esto. Créditos. Office computer. Allá donde voy. Students room. The office. Otro deluxe announcements. Loco, es enorme este lugar. From Forest. Dinnery. Ay, how do you make a JRPG? How do you make the worst game ever? Okay. How is the game going? I hope it's a good or better than the first one. Are you a rock? Qué raro todo esto. 5, 4, 3. A flotar. Ok. Version of the chase lanes to the apartment ending as apartment. Pero como un poco nervioso este juego. Es como que hay demasiadas opciones. Muchos finales. ¿Qué es esto? Sally.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
digo después. Okay, we're back. Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Okay, ahora vamos
Stanley
a ir
decided to
abajo.
go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an
Vamos
answer.
abajo.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ay, ojalá pudiera leer esto. ¿Qué dice? Hi. No, no leo un carajo. Está muy chiquito.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that
dentro de un
matter,
juego.
these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating
Hincha
everything
pelota.
that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all
Literal.
that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife
Tuve una
and
esposa.
my job All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Estoy en el mismo lugar, che.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Basta, Stanley. Por favor.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Ok, es distinta la habitación. ¿Soy Stanley otra vez?
All of his co-workers were gone.
What the hell?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ahora voy a hacer lo que se me cante.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Pues no me faltó nada.
Wow.
Allá.
Yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Acá no le hice caso.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
If you're lying right now, stop. Me había olvidado esto. ¿Dónde mierda estoy? Penalty for me is for jumping off the cargo. ¿Puedo saltar? ¿Y si
Look,
salto?
Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Voy a saltar, ¿eh?
I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize it, but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story
Ya
and
estoy en
no
control.
one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
Si
Good
ya
job,
murió una
Stanley.
vez, ya está.
Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Ok. ¡Ay, volví a la misma! Bueno, no pasa
All
nada.
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Che, debe
Perhaps
haber
he had
como
simply missed a memo.
800.000 finales. Dios, este juego. Uy. ¿Dónde estoy? Acá.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley
Esta
knew
vez
it
no voy a
perfectly
saltar.
well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
No me voy a tirar.
Look,
esas.
Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley.
Quería matar una mosca.
Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Her?
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
¿De qué me estás hablando? Uy, qué miedo.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Ok. ¿Dónde estoy?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Mi
just pulling
familia.
it out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
¿Cómo me vas a decir eso? No puedo ir a la mierda, me voy a la mierda.
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Ábrame, ábrame. Ábrame. Puta que lo parió. ¡Ay, qué miedo!
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
¿Cuántas veces lo voy a matar a Stanley, boludo? Good morning, I'm playing 4 veces. Es H on your keyboard.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Press R. ¿Y si no quiero? No lo voy a apretar. Voy a apretar K. ¿Cuánto tiempo estará? Lo podré hacer esperar. Así yo también soy muy paciente. Dale, dale. Actúa, amigo, actúa. I'm not your man. Bueno.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
To watch TV.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Spend time with the boys.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Cue to prepare dinner. ¿Qué está pasando?
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. and down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions, and down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Your kids. No tengo hijos.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer.
No!
How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets.
Yo dije que
The more he
siempre estuve
forgets
ahí,
which life
sentada,
is the
apretando
real one.
botones. Press O to go to sleep.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Bueno, pero si no lo hago, te voy a hacer caso a vos. El reloj me hace acordar a Fungus. Ah. ¿Cuánto tiempo me vas a tener acá sin apretar el botón? Porque en un momento me voy a cansar y voy a apretar el botón y vas a decir, ah, mira, ¿viste que iba a hacer caso? Todo es una referencia, Fungus. Siempre vamos a volver a ese corto. Bueno, amigo, narrador, voy a apretar el botón.
You see? Can he just not hear me?
Sí, pero...
How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
To question nothing.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I...
Como que please die. Please shower. The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end. Oh my god. Ok, ahora lo que puedo hacer es no contestar el teléfono.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Ahora un final
Stanley decided
posta.
to go to the meeting room.
Porque-
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oh. New content.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Ok. Ok, no contestar el teléfono. Lo voy a tener que hacer después.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Okay.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Ok. Igual los profes no sé si nos dijeron el deluxe. Pero bueno, ya que
I
estamos...
have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if the... Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
The jump circle.
All right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
No, amigo, qué carajos. Ok. No puedo saltar más. Ok.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And every... Oh, wait. There's more.
Mira,
Very good.
mira el narrador cómo se revela,
I knew
¿eh?
there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Está revelando. Thank you for enjoying the new content.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stan, this is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievement, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game?
No, otra vez.
Try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always.
¿Me vas a dejar no
What do you
contestar el
say,
teléfono?
friend?
¿Podré ir o me irá a ir a otro lugar? Irá a ir. Hará ir. ¿Dónde mierda estábamos, boludo? Qué recarajos.
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Todo por el contenido. Coffee nut. Este juego no tiene fin. It's never the end. Literalmente no. Igual la chica ya me dijo, tipo, yo elijo cuando terminar. Pero yo quiero más, yo quiero más. No puedo, no me conformo con eso.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
¿Y este lugar? Oh.
I call it the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I
¿Me
want.
estás hablando en serio, Lelito?
Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
Igual te creo. La verdad que te creo si me decís que son 40 finales.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Loco, basta de hacerme ver museos, la concha de tu madre. Good times. Our first kiss, my first car, the release kid. ¿Qué está pasando acá? 2003. Memory lane. En el juego normal somos 40, con la Ultra Deluxe 46. Esas 20 horas de stream. Ah, mira cuando me morí. Ay, me hace acordar de Slender. Tipo, literalmente.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing.
Literalmente
It's no
estás
games at
presumiendo
all.
su juego en el juego.
It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new
Quiero volver al
elevator content.
teléfono. Person of the Year. ¿Eso soy yo?
Here's another moving passage, this time
my
from
God.
GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories. These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
La parte fea.
Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
No.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable,
but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them. Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button.
Pobre narrador.
A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
No, amigo, tranqui, yo no te voy a skipear.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. Got the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45... Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sick.
I know.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through.
Hijo de puta, Stanley. Uy, ¿ahora no está? Se nos fue el narrador. A ver. Maté al narrador. Oh, reloj.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave.
¿Qué está pasando ahora? ¿Narrador?
The end is never the end, 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 is never the.
Lo voy a escribir porque me dio miedo. No. A la mierda. Literalmente es never the end. La concha de tu madre. Oh, la luz del día. Ok. Pero se murió el narrador. ¿Pero por qué yo no muero? Se fue. No sé cuánto tiempo habrá pasado ahora. Ay. Ay, ¿qué está pasando? ¿Por qué? Ah. ¿Qué recarajos? ¿Y ahora? ¿Puedo espiar otra vez? No. ¿A dónde mierda me voy? ¿Qué pasa? Ya no puedo correr, la concha de tu madre. Ahora me siento mal por el narrador. ¿Y ahora?
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
Cambió la historia. New content.
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Oh, amigo, déjame ir, déjame ir. Me pregunto si los profes los habrán jugado. Lo habrán jugado el juego. Lo de decir, profe, me hiciste jugar este juego del orto que no me dejaba ir. Dios. Tengo esta mano re fría. Dios. Sí, seguro. Por lo menos el chico... Ah, no me acuerdo los nombres todavía. ¿Joaquín se llama?
You see, Stanley, I've
Que la
been
chica ni
reflecting
idea.
on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content
Pobre.
for it should live up to that legacy. So
Pobre
forget...
profe, porque encima es la que más habla. Tipo, es como que la que. Es como la profe, pero, y Joaquín es como, bueno, sí. Ah, sí, esto está interesante. Sí. Acota nomás.
This ultra deluxe nonsense, I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2. Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Hay dos postas.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented.
dos?
It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Ok. Yo te sigo, hermano. Pero es muy grande esto.
Go on, try out some of the new features.
Merch. ¿Qué carajos? No sé dónde ir, hay muchas cosas. Please no screenshots. ¿Y si hago unos screenshots? ¿Me dirá algo? A ver.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Claro, debe ser si saco una screenshot de Steam. Me dirá algo. Get Well Someday. Happy 12th birthday, Stephanie's.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is.
Yo quiero este clavo.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No. No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
Free achievement, get yours right now. Okay.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Okay.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
The jump circle.
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle? Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece, then.
find them? Can you find them? Can you find them? Uy, ¿esto?
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Qué miedo me da este maje, che. ¿En serio hay coleccionables? Ok.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Ok. Déjame ir, boludo. Ya es la hora de la merienda,
Oh,
loco.
goodness, Stanley, this is fairly awkward. I hate to do this, but before you leave, you really should go to the bucket exhibit. You see, there's a surprise I was going to spring on you later, and it involves the bucket. And I really do hate to break the illusion, but it's important that you
¿Cuál es el
go see
bucket?
the bucket, okay? All right, I'll get out of your hair now.
The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game.
Jim.
Isn't that... Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you
So
are,
Jim.
and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Yes, you see? What a thrill! That was you! The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
Oh, Dios. Es un nene este chico.
Jim.
It hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally
Cuidado,
drained
Salvaje.
from all of this personal validation. I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play this. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
¿Dónde está el bucket? Infinite hole. Ahí está el bucket. Con mierda voy ahí abajo. Ok. Ok. Ay, no, me duele mucho la mano, que la tengo congelada, no sé por qué. Me voy a estar no poder correr.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I am happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try. Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Okay. Ok, nos vamos a ir ya.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
¿Cómo me iba por acá? Para. A ver, Infinite Hole.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall
Como
down
Gravity
forever.
Falls.
That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Oh,
You see, isn't
¿y
it
cómo me voy?
wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
Infinite Hole. Ok, vámonos, vámonos, vámonos. Me quiero ir, loco, me quiero ir. Tengo frío. Yo no me acuerdo cómo me iba. Sé que estaba subiendo las escaleras. Y creo que pasé al tipo este. Por acá. Allá, allá. ¿No? Exit. Me voy a la mierda. No screenshots.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right?
O sea...
Sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, Insert a few of my new features into it, tastefully of course, with respect, with care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could, but it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
What the hell? ¿Me vas a dar en serio a jugar? Nah. A ver. Pero yo quería que me devuelvan el teléfono. It's never the end, la concha de tu madre.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Uy. ¿Tú jugando en serio otra vez?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
¿Y si sigo todo de una?
Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it?
¿Dónde? Ay, perdón.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Ni lo vi. Disculpame, che. ¿A dónde voy, amigo?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Ajá. Me imagino que va a ser distinto.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Un cambio tiene que tener, por favor, te lo pido.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The
No sé.
had never seen anything
O
like
sea, nos
this,
dijeron-
and it very nearly
primero
burst
nos
into
dieron
tears,
textos para
but
leer.
Stanley cradled it gently,
Después nos dijeron que
reassuring
veamos
us
este
that
juego.
everything would be fine.
Ya lo
Was
veremos
the
el
bucket under the
viernes.
mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world.
At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Acá era que sigue, ¿no?
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another. But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
¿Qué es este juego, che?
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
¿Qué carajos?
Wait,
Déjame ir.
Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
No te voy a agarrar.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Es interminable este
Standing
juego.
now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Quiero hacer este final. A ver si me dejan.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
No. No me digas que te va a atender sea así. En algún momento va a dejar de sonar. Please. Desconectar el teléfono.
As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible.
Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits.
Deja de mentirme.
Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long.
¿Me vas a
If
dejar
you'd made
ir?
any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Bueno.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Ok. Loco, déjeme ir. Quiero terminar. Hay un... Danielito, por favor, decime. Hay un final que diga basta, ya no. I wanna go.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Claro, yo tengo que seguir leyendo. Dios. Me faltó un texto para el viernes. Tengo que ir
Almost
posta.
there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
¿Me estás mintiendo? No me mientas.
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open
Última
doors,
vez.
he entered the door on his left.
Ok, última vez que te hago caso. Y me voy, ¿eh?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
¿A dónde se iba?
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it.
Me lo cambió,
Surely
che.
behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak
me olvidé los
up,
números.
but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Tengo que hablar en serio. ¿Cómo era? ¿Night Shark 155?
Stanley spoke the code.
115.
Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver.
¿Tengo que hablar en
right there
serio?
on the wall.
Night Shark 115. Pero no me tomaba el micrófono.
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
No me topa el micrófono. Así que me estás boludeando. Night Shark
Okay,
115.
fine. You're not gonna do it. But you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect
trying.
Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way?
No me
Speak.
grites.
Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward.
No me va a dejar
Behave
ir.
exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Si yo hacer lo mismo. Es que no puedo hablar, amigo.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, behave exactly as Stanley
Oh,
would.
se rompió
That
el
means
juego,
choosing
veo.
responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
No te rompas, amigo, no te rompas. Hago lo que quieras. Yo te hago caso.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
Bueno, sabes que me voy por la puerta que
behave
yo
exactly
quiero,
as
la
Stanley
reputa
would.
que te parió.
That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
Pero si voy ahí se paga todo. Acá no hay nada, ¿no?
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
Ay, qué feo. ¿Qué está pasando? Ay, me cerró el portal.
Oh, I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You, who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make... When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his
Oh my god. Ese soy yo.
Stanley? Hello?
Estoy acá.
Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice.
¿The end?
I need you to
¿Es
walk
realmente
through
el
the
end?
door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right?
Ay, ¿por qué está tan triste?
Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please.
Ay, no, es muy triste.
Do something? Anything? This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
Ya terminó. El juego terminó. ¿O no? O sea... No quiero jugar más.
All of his co-workers were
No,
gone.
no, ya está. No, no. Este juego... The sequel is now paused.
It mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Pero es lo mismo. Va a haber lo mismo. Me llevo el bucket.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley
Y te hago
clutched the
caso.
bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Capaz si le hago caso en
Still
todo.
no one was here. Stanley
Termina.
needed the bucket's warmth and comfort
Deja de terminar
now
el
more
juego.
than ever.
perhaps his boss's office was where, coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
El juego ha terminado.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Me voy a ir al campo.
The lights rose
Y va a
on an
terminar ahí.
enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Pues no hay chance. Pues ya está. Hace
Monitors
como 2
jumped
horas que te
to
cuento,
life,
te
and Stanley
cuento.
nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket.
No.
He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over?
But is it over now?
Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and to... What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be free?
No hay chance, no hay chance.
An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty. Until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
No.
Even the facility itself recognized the
Tira el
incredible
bucket, no
calming
importa.
presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No, no, no. Stanley can't leave this place, not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms, not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room, but at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
¿Qué? No me lleves otra vez en la oficina. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? Yo ya vi los créditos. ¿Me dejas ir?
All of his co-workers
¿Qué me
were
falta
gone.
hacer?
What did
Nada.
it mean? Stanley decided to
hice
go to the
todo.
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
¿Qué no hice? Ah, ¿sabes qué voy a hacer? Me
The
voy al
confusion
lugar
and the
este.
chaos all seemed to melt
Voy a
away
escapar.
as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Y cuando la chica me diga que apague el
Still
juego,
no one
lo voy a
was
apagar.
here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he... Coming to a
¿Qué había-
staircase, Stanley
había
and the
abajo?
bucket walked upstairs to the
acuerdo.
boss's office.
Pero yo me voy a la mierda.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this rep, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Sé que fui abajo. Sí. Bajé las escaleras. Pero no me acuerdo que había.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read,
Ahora me voy acá.
Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
¿Cuántos finales me faltan, Danielito?
At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Quiero ir a merendar. No lavé la ropa, la concha de tu madre. Ok.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator,
Ok.
as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end.
Oh, me vas a
as
hacer
it
todo
was
ese
crushed
museo del
violently
orto.
to death.
Ay, Dios, este juego de mierda, la concha de tu madre.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to
¿El bucket?
behold.
Ok, es distinto.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Ok.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Me tengo que tirar. The hanging bucket. Ah, Ah, ok.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you
Cierro el
and I,
juego.
that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
Lo dejo morir, si me decís. ¿Y ahora termina el juego? Porque murió. Puta, no sé qué más hacer. ¿Qué más queda por hacer? Me voy abajo con el bucket.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Ese debe ser lo último que me queda.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
¡Ay, coleccionable!
Found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
160 mensajes le dejamos hacer eso. ¡Ay, no! Era esto, sí,
He
Danielito,
considered the
vinimos
possibility
acá.
of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for it. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley.
No, la puta que te
Maybe,
parió.
he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work.
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass, and she backflipped all the way to work.
Cut the cameras. No. No hay más. Literalmente no hay más para jugar. La cantidad de diálogos que tiene que haber grabado un narrador es terrible. No hay, literalmente no hay nada más. No puede haber nada más. Pues ya hice absolutamente todo. Ya hice todo. A mí no me digan nada porque yo... No digan cómo vivo. Yo ya hice todo. Pero absolutamente todo. ¡Ay! Un teléfono. Pero la reputa que te parió. ¿Por qué siguen agregando cosas?
Hi, Stanley. Just wanted to leave you a message to let you know there's a few things I need you to pick up on your way home from work today. We need milk, cereal, dish soap, spaghetti, get a thing of sugar, some bread, and coffee beans, whichever ones you like. I'll give you a call if there's anything I forgot. Thanks, sweetie. See you tonight.
¿Tengo esposa? ¿Pero por qué llama a este teléfono y no al mío? O sea que me puedo ir. Miren, ¿me puedo ir? ¿Con el bucket?
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone.
No puedes
Not with
haber
the
hecho todo
bucket
porque the
around.
end is never the end. O sea, me puedo ir a mi casa.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his
No,
chest
ya está,
and
ya
entered the door
está.
on his left.
Ya hice todo. ¿Y si me voy a mi casa con el bucket?
This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
Tipo,
But
o sea,
Stanley
atiendo
had
el
felt the
teléfono.
bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was.
hay algo que no
Had
hice
the
yo.
bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go, and so the two of
Yo
them
no seguí
detoured
acá,
through
fui
the
hasta
maintenance
allá.
section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Ah, pero es lo mismo. Es literalmente lo mismo. ¿Y acá qué mierda había? Ay, no puedo volver. ¿Qué había acá? No me acuerdo. Ah, sí, esto. Que encontraba los paneles. Es que ya está, ya hice todo. Tipo, literalmente hice todo.
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
¿Ah? ¿Qué? Uy, ¿qué es este juego?
You see,
está
your
pasando?
friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it.
¿Llueve ya?
Don't you want another story
Acá no.
involving the adventure line? We could make the adventure line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
¿Qué recarajos está pasando?
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now, this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then.
Las
Let's
drogas
do it for
están en todos
fans,
lados.
Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
No, mi bucket no. Mi balde no.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer.
¿Qué carajos?
I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me...
Pará. No me estaba mostrando los mensajes. No me estaba mostrando el chat. Ahí está.
It already feels as though it's been
No
part of
entiendo
the
nada,
cast
no entiendo
all
nada.
along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
¿Y si no quiero? ¿Y si yo
Now
no
listen
quiero?
to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans
Ok, lo hago,
what they
lo hago,
want.
lo hago, lo hago, lo hago. Ey, yo lo hice, ¿eh? ¿O no llegué?
The Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
¿Pero llegué o no? Si no, no esperaba este juego tan raro. Tan interminable. No hay chance. Bueno, hasta acá llegó el gameplay de hoy porque no hay chance. No hay chance, no hay chance. ¿Qué más me falta? Creo que para hacer mejor análisis de tareas es mejor jugarlo de nuevo. No. No. Yo no lo juego más. Es que posta no sé qué más hay que hacer. Porque ya hice todo lo que... ¿Vos no entendiste si llegué a destruir el bucket o no? Me parece que no, ¿no? A ver, voy a destruir el balde. Ok.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Y eso es lo último que voy a hacer.
Bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket, off on another thrilling adventure together.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the...
Vamos a destruir el bucket. Y es lo último que voy a hacer. Posta. Posta, me voy.
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are
Ay,
concerned
déjame
for you,
ver,
Stanley.
la puta que te
We've
parió.
come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere.
Igual estoy pensando que esto es
The
el nuevo
bucket isn't
contenido.
even from the original Stanley Parable.
Y los
It's
profes no
just
nos dieron eso.
sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the... Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up. Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
¿Me dejas?
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer
Pero abre la
does?
puerta.
Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now,
Right.
Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Ok. Now.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality
Literalmente,
trait.
el stream de ayer fue
I can
menos
hear you
estresante.
saying, how does a
¡No puedo
character with
tirar!
only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters?
No, pará. No puedo tirar el balde. Interact y...
Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to...
No lo puedo tirar. No lo puedo tirar. No puedo tirar el bucket. No lo puedo tirar.
Crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Literalmente estoy apretando todos los botones, amigos. No hay chance. ¿Cómo mierda tiro el balde? Estoy a esto de buscar cómo tirar el balde. No hay chance. No se puede. No se puede, así que hice todo esto al pedo. Bueno, ¿hay algo más que me faltó?
The
Nada
Bucket
más.
Destroyer. My prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Ah, que si se rompe. Bueno, lo descubrimos otro día porque yo hasta acá llegué. No quiero más. No quiero más de este juego. No, no, no. Yo no juego más este juego. No, no, no. No, no, no. No, no, no. Jugué lo que tenía que jugar, vi lo que los profes querían ver. Conclusión, no entendí un carajo, no sé cómo se relaciona esto con los textos. No sé. No sé qué acabo de jugar. No sé. A ver. ¿Qué decía esto? Encima uno de los textos tiene la hoja al revés. No sé por qué. A ver. El cansancio. Tanto que hablaba de cansancio de este juego. Nunca más. La celebridad, no sé qué tendrá que ver. No sé. No tengo idea. No sé qué habrán querido mostrarnos, la verdad. Pero eso lo descubrimos el viernes. Yo... Claro, lo descubrimos el viernes, exactamente. Ay, Dios. ¿Por qué? Y bueno, ahora hay que seguir. Hay que seguir leyendo. Que me faltó el de posmodernidad de García Rivelo. Y... Ah, debo organizar cómo es mañana lo de sociología. Así que bueno. Tengo que ver la peli de Pub también. Así que no sé si hablaron. Vi que estaban hablando en Pub, pero no. Sociología creo que no. A ver. Oh, yo también quiero vacaciones de una manera. Dios. Bueno, me voy. Me voy a ir a merendar. Así que después hablamos sobre eso. No sé qué acaba de pasar. Pero bueno. No sé cuándo volveré a hacer stream. Hasta que me den otro juego para jugar en clase. Pero bueno. O capaz sigo editando cosas en stream. Pero bueno. Adiós. Adiós. Chao, Danielito. Nos vemos.